Succession absolutely blew me away. Now, like I tend to do with most HBO shows, I don't really watch them until the last season. I did it with Game of Thrones, and once again, I did it with Succession. Of course, I heard the hype. I heard how great season 3 was. I heard everything about this show. This is the show that people that love film love to watch. So, of course, with the final season coming out, the first few episodes had already premiered, and I heard this is the greatest television of all time. We've heard that a million times before, so I didn't know what to believe. So, of course, I did what any academic would do, and I can say that because I did go to film school. I did what any academic would do, and went and watched the show, and my God, I freaking love this show. Now I'm going to get into all the reasons why, but first I'm just going to hit this off the top. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. I'm going to spoil the mother F out of this show. All the spoilers. Who is the successor? We're going to talk about it all in this video. So, if you have not finished Succession, go watch it, then come back. If you have finished Succession, go down in the comments. Let me know, what did you think of Succession? Let me know in general your thoughts on the show, who ends up being CEO, all of that. And again, with the spoilers, comments are open waters. Anything goes. But let's get into Succession. So, I've always loved dramas, especially ones that revolve around families. Sons of Anarchy, up until this point, has been my favorite TV show of all time, and Game of Thrones is probably up there as well. But there's something different about Succession, and I had this conversation with my mom, like I do many things that have to do with film and TV, about why. Why is this show so good? How can this show be comparable to a Game of Thrones or a Sons of Anarchy or other shows to that vein? How? The question is how. And this is kind of how I explained it. Game of Thrones, brilliantly written, incredibly directed, some of the best performances I've ever seen, but there's also the scale and the battles and the tension and all of that involved. And the same with Sons of Anarchy. There's always conflict in every episode. There is something happening. And that is one reason why these shows in particular are so good. There is always something happening. There's this argument, and I see it a lot with like CW shows and things like that, about filler episodes. You see that all over Twitter and social media. Filler episode, bad episode because it was filler. I love filler episodes because I think they are very important to said plot of a story, but I think the shows that stand out above others are the ones that always have tension and conflict and that do it well. They're not just throwing in conflict to throw in conflict. It actually makes sense to the plot. So you can have a relatively filler-filled episode and the story and plot is still great because of a specific event that happens. Happens in Sons of Anarchy all the time. They are the kings of cliffhangers, shall we say. Succession's different, though. There's no big biker gangs, no bloody battles, no huge dragons. Why is this show so good, and why does it vault itself above the rest? Tension and conflict, but not in the way that you think. The brilliant thing about this show is that it is a boardroom drama, it is a family drama, but it does it so well. It brings in new tension, new conflict. Every single episode there's something new and something that's important that leads you back at the very, very end, and we'll get into that in a little bit. This show succeeds at having constant action while never having really any violence at all. Any fight scenes, any explosions. That is the reason why. And another reason is because this is one of the best acted, written, directed shows I think I've ever seen, and I think I may ever see. I think a lot of people echo that sentiment. So like I said, I think that this show is just a perfect technical master, written master, acting master, and let's just break it down one by one. The writing in this show is absolutely incredible. I think what Jesse Armstrong is able to do here with his vision is tell a very intimate family story while having what feels like the weight of the world on their shoulders. Logan is this titan in America. A lot of people compare him to Rupert Murdoch, and that is a lot of the inspiration that Jesse Armstrong took. And you have his kids who want to live up to his image. And that's really what the point of this show is these kids who are horrible people that we hate, wanting to live up to their father's image. And we see that really in Kendall, but we also see that in the other two as well. It revolves around dialogue. And that's very hard to do. It's hard to have a show that is, again, not filled with action, explosions, set pieces, things like that, and it's strictly dialogue. For a show to be successful at that, it's something special. This is a special show because it does not require the thrills and the shrills and any of that. It succeeds based on dialogue and writing alone. And I think that that is one of the key pillars of why this show is so perfect. And not only that, but like I mentioned earlier, this TV show, I look at it like a film, but this TV show, it leaves Easter eggs that will come back to haunt in the future. Remember the kid that Kendall, drove off the road at the end of season 1. That came back to pass in the series finale when it was decided who would become the next CEO of Waystar. And something like that is incredible because it's something, yes, a big moment that happens at the end of season 1, translating all the way to the end of season 4. This writing is incredible and it needs to be recognized. It really does. The acting here is some of the best, if not the best, I've ever seen. I think Jeremy Strong in particular, I know we talk about his method acting and all of that, but my lord, him as Kendall is just jaw-dropping. You feel the pain. You feel the fear in his face. And while these are all incredibly horrible people that you hate, they all have their moments where you actually sympathize with them. And that is all performance. That is all personality. And that does not happen, and that is not as successful if it is not for the actors. Kieran Culkin is the star of season 4. It may not be his season, but it is the acting. He's going to get his Emmy. I'm calling it now. He's going to get his Emmy because it's some of the greatest acting I've ever seen. And I'm not just saying that. I think Kieran Culkin in season 4 is incredible, and it is the best acting I've ever seen. The mountaintop scene between him and Skarsgård is flawless. It's so good. And it just blows me away. It really does. And then Sarah Snook as Shiv. I think these three, you had to nail the core three. You had to nail the core three. And for them to all be as incredible as they are, and all different as they are, they're not the same. They are vastly different. That says something. And then, of course, Brian Cox as Logan Roy is a menacing character that you are afraid of and that does have his sweet, sincere moments, but you fear him and they fear him. And that is, it's just, there's always just this pillar that is towering over them, and it's so good. I think the direction is also very underrated here. Mark Malloy is so good, so particular. The way that the show is blocked, the way it's shot, the way it's filmed. There is a video about the cinematography of this show that I will leave in the description. It's by a good friend of mine. I mean, we've interacted once, but Patrick Tomaso. I'm sorry if I completely butchered that, your last name. It's one of the best video essays I've ever seen, and it talks about the cinematography of the show, and I highly recommend you check it out. I'm going to leave it in the description. This is a brilliantly shot, blocked, composed show, and I think the mockumentary type feel to it adds to that chaos in the writing and the performances, and I would not have it any other way. Just what they're able to accomplish is stunning. It left my jaw on the floor, and I was at a loss for words. This is a technical marvel of a film. It is. It deserves all the accolades. It's already won a crap ton of Emmys, and it's going to win many more this next season. I think I'm going to close like my general thoughts on this, and I wrote this down. You hate these people. You do. They are not good people. They all have flaws. None of them are clean. None of them. But that makes the show that much better because you want to see how these characters are going to get screwed. You never know where it's going to happen. You never know how it's going to come. But when it does, that's the conflict you love. That's good drama, and that's good writing. I love it. So now I'm going to give another spoiler warning, just in case you're still here. We're really going to get into the weeds now. What do I think of Mr. Tom Wambsgans being the new CEO of Waystar RoyCo and Gojo, I guess? I hate it because that's not who I wanted, but from a writing standpoint, I love it. I think one of the crowning moments of this season, season 4, is the last scene in the box with our trio as Shiv has decided she's going to flip her vote. Kieran Culkin's character, Roman, says something to the effect of, "We were never going to win, we're nothing." And that really resonated with me because it's so true. And again, it goes back to these are horrible people. They all have done things that are inexcusable. They all have done things that show that they are not fit to be the CEO. Logan, I believe, always wanted to give one of his children the CEO. But then when he saw his children, he couldn't stomach it. The dream was to have a child the dream was to have a child be CEO, but not one of them. So I think in the end, while I may not love that Tom is the one that takes over, I think it feels right. Because none of the kids deserved it. And I don't think Logan, if he were still alive, would have wanted any of his kids to have it. Do I think Tom's the right choice? No. But it works because he's going to do whatever he has to do to please Mattson. You know, when Shiv tells Mattson in that episode that Tom will do whatever, and more vulgar terms, if you've seen the episode, you know what I'm talking about. That was it for Shiv and for the other two. They were cooked. They were toast. So as much as I don't love it, I do respect it, and I think it's good writing. The show's over, and it's sad because I really enjoyed it. I think it is the best show on TV. I am torn. Is it my favorite show of all time? Come back to me in a few months. The drama's there. There's no action, but it doesn't need it because it's written so well. The direction here is again incredibly underrated, but deservedly give it the credit it deserves. And the acting, like we've already said, every performance, there's not a performance here I don't like. It's fantastic. It's the perfect show. I don't have any notes. And I'm not just saying that because that's the fad, that's the trend, that's what everyone's talking about. I truly believe, from my heart of hearts, this is a perfect show. I don't have any notes. I don't have any things I would change. All the core and the small and the technical and the non-technical and the above the line and the below the line. Everything is so freaking good. And that's why I wanted to talk about this show, and that's why I love this show so much. Yeah, that's it. That's my thoughts. I don't know. Did I ramble too much? Let me know in the comments. But guys, that's pretty much it. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Yeah, there was just something about this show. It's not a movie. We're not talking about a movie. We're not talking about Blu-rays. This is a show, and you guys know I don't watch a lot of TV, but this was a show that I sat down every Sunday night and watched because it was something special. It was an event, and it was something I needed to talk about with you guys. So let me know in the comments, what do you think of Succession as a whole, or season 4? What do you think of Tom being the new CEO? I want to hear your thoughts. Let's talk about it down below in the comments. That's pretty much it, guys. I have a few more videos coming out in the next few weeks. I've got my May video coming out in the next few days, and I'm going to see Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse the day that this comes out. So if I really like that, which I have a feeling I will probably have a video about it. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all for the continued support, and yeah, we'll see you in the next video.